Okay, I have made this small assembly to demonstrate why the skeleton approach does not work in my case. I have a skeleton here, and we have a line. On this line, I've positioned some access systems, and I've already made the assembly for a few components here. So you can see we have two pipes with a non-return valve in the middle. And if I hide again, I can show you that the skeleton to the pipe 1 is connected here, and it's an access system to access system with a coincident constraint, or as in your case, it's a engineering connection. Then we have um, the non-return valve. I did it in a different sequence here. But I have the non-return valve goes to the next one at the end of the pipe. And then we have another pipe at the end here. So the first constraint with is the skeleton and the pipe goes to this position. And then, as you can see, I have an access system here where I want to position the non-return valve, which it's this one, which I've done here. And it's constrained to the skeleton and not to the pipe or the spool here. Don't mind the sizes of the component, that is a little bit irrelevant for this demo here. Then we have the last spool. So now the issue is if I needed to replace this component in here, or if one of these spools changes in size. Since this is just a dumb geometry, and I'm not, you can see it's a solid, so I'm not able to quickly change the length of this. So what I would like to do is replace this component with one that is a little bit wider. And in this case, I found the pump that I would like to put in here. So let's say I want to replace this non-return valve with pump up here. I've added the publications, so they should be the same as before. I have not done that for this one, but let me just see what I've done for this non-return valve so we can replace it. So I call it system 1 and system 2. So this is 1 and this is 2. So that's fine. So this has to be 1 and this has to be 2. So let's go back, sorry, to the pump here. And then I have this is going to be system 1 because this is connecting to this one. And this one should be connecting here. So this should be okay. We just need to publish it. So I'm going here and then I'm going to select my system 1 and 2 and then go for the publication and click yes and okay. So now we should have the publications here with the system 1 and 2. So that's it. And I'll just minimize this one and double click up here. And since this one has system 1, one system and 2 system, then we should be good to replace this component here. So if I go to the non-return valve and I go to component and replace in session, and I would like to select the pump here, which is this one. And I only want to replace this one, so only one element. And I hit OK. And if I click update here, you can see that there is an issue. So this one here is pointing set to the right, and here we're pointing set to the right. So what happened to this one Applications, system 1. So this ended up here, and system 2 ended up here. So what is going on here? Let's see, it's not that easy. Now I need to figure out what went wrong. So I just, so we have this. So if I hide this one and go in and see, okay, I have a coincidence. It is here, so that is system 2. Okay. I don't want it to be connected to system 2 on this one. I want it to be connected to system 1. So I need to go in, and then I need to modify my engineering connection. I don't want it to be system 2, so I want to reconnect and select this one, and then OK, and then hit show and update. Now it's positioned correctly here. But then I have an issue with this pipe. It's not following this component here. So now I need to go in and modify my skeleton in order to move this access system to the end of this component. So you can see it's quite cumbersome to work with this on a skeleton method. I agree that an access system to access system is a really simple way of positioning components. But when I need to build up this pipe or a spool here, it's a little bit cumbersome to do that. So let me try and show you how I have done in my own way. So let's just forget about this one for a minute and log in here. And I have created a design table. Let's have a look at the design table here for a moment. And since we were running VPM, it's similar to a 3D experience, but sorry, Innovia. It's a little bit slow opening everything forth and back. So, but that is something I have to live with. So what I do here is I actually put in the instance name up here. So I just do it in a sequence from 1 to or 0 to how many components that you need. And the names here is the names, the logical names from your resource table. In V5 we call it an ARM catalog. In 3D Experience you call it a resource table. So this is just the logical names that I put in here. So when it goes to the resource table, call for the logical name, I get that specific component. But you know that from 3D Experience. So this is basically the same I do here. So if I know the naming, since this is a demo, so the naming might be a little bit dumb, but if you have some easy to remember names for your spreadsheet, you can easily, or your components, you can easily fill out this spreadsheet. And let's see how this goes when I try to instantiate. And then I just need to wait until it updates here, so I can click OK. OK. And I will go for the update components. So I'll just switch this one parameter, and it's going to instantiate all the components. But as you can see now, it's in one big pile here, so we need to create all the engineering connections between all the components. And how do I do that? Well, I created a second spreadsheet here with the information on how the components go together. And if I could, let me see, try and explain it. Maybe I can go in here and what is it called? Draw. I'll paint. Let's go for paint. So no, I don't want to use that. I could use the whiteboard. No, I'll go for paint. Or I could probably go for, let's say, Word. Maybe the Word is better, like this. And I can do some square boxes in here. So let's go to design, layout, reference, blah, blah, blah. Insert shapes. So let's put in some shapes here. Let's make them a little bit small. I want to copy and then paste a little bit. So I have some components here. Some of them goes this direction, another goes this direction. And basically, if I do a quick, sorry, so if I do a something quick like this, and I design, insert, I'm not doing this very often, so bear with me. So I put this one up here, and then we can copy this one and copy and then paste. So let's put one here and paste, put one here and then paste, put one here and paste. Not sure if this is correct, but this is the basic layout. And then I would probably put in components, something like this. In general, let's say we'll do it like this, and I would shorten this up a little bit. Okay, something like this. And then I would insert a text box. We have it here. And then on text box, simple text box. And I'll just put in a number like this. Or if I'm very good at something different, you can use some of the tools here, like screen capture. So capture region. So let's say if I take this one here, I have some tools inside. Let's see, go to image editor. So let's say we have this image here, and we could go in and I could put like this. This is my components, something like that. And then I could put in some text box, call it, if I just make it a little bit bigger here. So I would put in like connection 1, and then we can copy this one and put in like connection 2, something like that. And then I can copy this one and put it up here. And normally I would do this work. I would do this work on my paper or something like that. So it's easier and faster to work with this. But basically, what I do is I make a simple, let's drag this down a little bit. Okay, this is the picture. So let's do it up here. So I have the instance name, which is part 4. And part 4 has 2 connections, as you can see here. we have one in and one out, or the other way, one in and one out. If there's a flow direction in the component, I would give the publications the name in that sequence. So let's say if we have the flow direction from left to right, I would put one here and two over here. If it's the other way around, I would go like this. So I have the flow direction from right to left. So this is basically what I do. And these connections has been made from points. I would show you how to do that as well. But in the for now, I just want you to focus on that I have connections on my components. So if we go back to CATIA and hit OK, you must close Excel. Where do we have Excel? There we have it here. So in here, what I do, if I put this one over here and take the screenshot. So the way it functions is that we might have the skeleton down here just to be able to rotate or position the complete assembly. And then it goes from the skeletons when it's empty in the row here next to the instance name. It means it's going to create a fixed constraint for that one. And then it's just going on. So this is part 0, which is the skeleton, to part 1, part 1 to part 2, part 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and so forth. And over here, you can see in the spreadsheet is 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and so forth all the way down. And then the connection A and B is just these numbers I put in for the component. So in this case, the skeleton has a connection 1, and I'm connecting that to connection 2, and just because I want to rotate it in a specific way. And then I can decide about the orientation. If let's say we have 2 boxes here, and if it's the same, I would go something like this, where the edges are the same here. But if it's opposite, they would be opposite each other like this. So you know that from the engineering connections as well. And we can just put in same or opposite to define which way it's going to be to define the orientation. And then I have a last one is for rotation. If I wanted to rotate the components, and you can see that in the assembly. If we just minimize a little bit here and move this out of the way, let's say something like the motor. If I wanted to rotate that so it was vertical instead of horizontal, I could do that with the rotation. So let me go back to the spreadsheet again. So I think you get the point that I define the 2 components that need to be connected and the 2 connection points on those 2 components that we're using for the connection or the engineering connection. And I just continue down all the way. And at the end, I'm rotating all the components. So by leaving out this orientation, then well, up here, when I leave out the rotation, it's only creating a connection between the 2 components. So the degree of freedom is still there for the rotation. And down here, if I leave out the orientation, it's only creating a angle constraint between the components. So that's why I've put it this way here. And it's very easy because sometimes you want to rotate the components according to some other components, and in this case, it's most of the time component or part 1 you want to rotate it according to. So I filled this out, and it's very easy since it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so forth. And when it changes, it's because you have a new run of the pipe. So let let me show that when I've actually constrained it. So let me close this one and show you how it's working. And then cancel. And if I go here to update my constraints, so I have a small script that creates all the constraints here. And if it's working, it should be fully constrained with all the components. So the flexibility of this one, I just want to show you the flexibility of this one, because now I wanted to create the same assembly like you had here. So I want a pipe, I want the non-return valve and a pipe. So let's see if we can build that in the other assembly here. So what I do to build that assembly instead of this one is that I just go into my design table here and edit table. And we'll get up here. So what I will do, I will create a new variant, call it variant 2. I still need the skeleton because it's nice to be able to rotate and position your assembly in a way. So let's go up, and I know it was the spool 8 that we were using. So this was the one, and we're actually doing a valve check 6-inch. So I'll just copy both of them since I have the numbers here, and then paste it here. And then I needed this one here as well. So if I just hit close and close this one here, and it should update this one now. So just bear in mind, compared to the skeleton method, how much work I needed to do in order to constrain it. So now I have the components, and all I need to do is to switch the variant here. So I'll just go for variant 2 that I just created. And then I want to update my components. So now we have all the components here. I don't need the rest, so I don't have an automatic delete of the components. So it's just a one shot I made previously. So I'm just reusing the demo here. So I'll just delete everything and then update my components one more time. So now I have all my components here. I have the valve, and I have 2 spools here. But as you can see, I still need the constraint. So I go into my constraint profile, and I need to update my constraint profile. So in this case, I know if I look, I know I have part 3. So I don't need to constrain part 3 for anything. So what I do is I just go in here and put in a plus, and I want these components to be constrained together. I don't know about the position, but since it's pipes, there's no rotation or anything going on here, so I don't need to grade these. If I want to create a constraint to the previous component, I could, for rotation, I could put in like 90 degrees here if I wanted to, but that means that part 2 is rotated according to part 1. And if I do it here as well, then part 3 will be rotated according to part 2. And sometimes you don't want that, because if one of the components on your run or your pipe stretch is rotated the wrong way, and you rotate that, it's gonna rotate the rest of the components on that stretch or that run. So sometimes you don't want to do that. Then you can actually go down here and do it this way. So if you want part 1 and part 2, part 1 and part 3, so we could actually just copy this for rotation. So let me just copy this and go up here, and then in control, and shift cells down like that. So now we have the constraining as well. So I'll just hit save and exit. I mean the constraints for the rotation. It doesn't matter right now, but it matters when I need to make a change. Now it's updated like this. And what I do is I go in and I update my constraint and I get an error like this. And I think it's because I have too many constraints here. So let me see if I can do anything about this. So I have part 2, 3. Let me double check what I did wrong. Okay, this is what I did wrong. So I need to delete these because when I do it up here, it creates a coincident constraint or angle constraint as well as a coincident. So I need to divide these two. So that was my mistake. All right, just close this one again. And then 1, 2, 3 is going to update, hopefully. It's coming over here. Come on. And then OK. And I will update my constraints. And now it should not make any issue. So now we have all the constraints. As you can see, we have some rotation constraints down here as well. And if we go into this one, it says 180 degrees. If I put in 0 and update, you can see it turning around these components here. And so that's it. If we now you're probably thinking about the pump. So I want to replace this valve with a pump. So I just go in to my design table and edit the table. There are two ways I can do this. I can either replace this with the pump, or I can create a new variant. So just for the case here, I'll just create a new variant like this. Go in, call this free. Look for the pump. It's called PR42. So I'll copy this one, go in here, the valve check, put it in here, and then save, close. So now it's saved, and it should update this list here to a variant 3. So I'll close this one, select variant 3, and then OK. Compared to last time, I will have learned from this. I'll delete everything here, and then I'll update my components to true, and then I would go for my constraints, and now we have everything here. But as you can see, I don't like it to be all the way down. So I want to look at my my part 2. So you can see part 2 is this one, and I want to rotate. So I can go in, I'll put in 0, and then maybe it's rotated. Okay, so now you're thinking, okay, Michael, you deleted everything, so it's easy for you to instantiate it again. So let me just show you the variant 3 here. So if I go back to variant 2, where I have the valve, so since we have the same amount of components, I should be able to just go in here and then update it this way, and then update my constraints, and you can see everything fits and it's correct. But now you think, okay, I want to replace this one. So I just go in, instead of creating an extra variant, so I will just go in and replace it. I'll just move this one here, copy and put it up here, and then paste. So now I'm replacing that, and I'm just leaving this and going back to my design, and then OK. I need to hit OK to the other one. You can open the spreadsheet directly from the local drive from your C drive. It's a little bit faster, but you need to synchronize the design tables every time you do that. So what I do now is I just update. It's still variant number 2. I'll just do an update, and you can see it's in here. But now we have an issue with the constraints, so I just hit update. And you can see it pushes this this spool or this pipe so it fits in between here. So this is what I've been working on to work with piping without using the piping module. I'm not sure if this is a better way of doing it or faster or whatever you can call it. I'm not sure. I don't know. That's why I'm kind of seeking uh, uh, some ideas or inspiration from others who do this. So I'll just update the components here, go back, and I want to update my constraints. But since I did change it manually, I would go back to my constraint profile. In this case, you can do that automatically. So you can actually put in different profiles if you want to. So I just want to delete these here, and then take these and then control minus, and that's it. It should be the same as before. Save. What you could do is you can modify your script a little bit. So you put in a header for the section that says profile name. And then when it's done with the profile, you have a single cell in the row called exit or something like that. And under that, you can put in a new profile so you can switch between profiles. We've done that for some of our pumps. So I'll just go in here and then hit true. And hopefully I did not make any mistake. Something like this. Okay, this is, I think this is my demo from my side. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's see what happens next.